All right. Oh, my computer is not wanting to be there. I am. Get my video started. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday afternoon social. We are going to be working on the This Is Me activity in your journal and your self-compassion postcard. So hopefully you have your journals handy, something to write with, marker, pen, whatever you like to write in your journal with. You can also have your washi tape and your stickers. When I show you some of my examples, you will see I am not super fancy. So the important thing to remember is that this is your time. This is your journal. Make this journal your own. Do what makes you feel happy. You don't have to copy anyone else. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's, right? Do you, right? This is your journal. There's no wrong way. And we're breaking up with the perfect, right? This is a time for you. And I'm so happy that you set aside an hour on your Saturday to join us and to work on your journal. So be sure you set your chat to everyone so that everyone in the chat can see your comments. And I saw lots of fun things about fall that everyone was sharing. So pumpkin spice, I love pumpkin spice. I'm like a pumpkin spice everything girl. The crisp air, leaves, crunchy leaves, all that fun stuff. I'm very excited that we are in fall. I'm definitely not ready for winter, but definitely love fall. And I am located in Aurora, Colorado. So we definitely get some snow sometimes, but we have not had our first snow yet this year. So very interesting. We're just kind of waiting for that first snow. A little bit about the self-care raffle. By just signing up and being here for the social, you are entered into the raffle. You don't have to do anything extra. You are entered in, and that's a monthly raffle. They usually draw either like at the end of the month, or sometimes I think more toward the beginning of the month for the previous month. So every social that you attend earns you an entry into the raffle. And speaking of that, if you have not had a chance, they have updated our schedule in the app where you can sign up for some more socials that go through, I believe, mid-December. So make sure you check that, because as you probably know, a lot of times our socials fill up really quickly. So be sure you take a look at that. And we love for you to share any pictures of your journal with us in the app. It's super fun, and it really helps other members see and get some different ideas for things that they can do. So this is also a video optional social. You are welcome to turn on your video camera. You do not have to, right? After, what has it been? Oh, a year and a half of Zoom calls and seeing yourself on video. I totally understand if you want to keep that off, but you're welcome to pop on, wave at us, pop back off, whatever makes you happy. And please interact in the chat as much or as little as you would like. This is your social, your journal, and we are just here to help facilitate some fun today for this hour. So, as you know, this month's theme is compassion. And one of the things that we've really found from doing these socials is that we're all pretty good about compassion for others, but we tend to struggle with self-compassion, right? I think we are our own worst critic. And so today we're going to have a couple exercises that maybe will help you show yourself a little compassion and helps you kind of do that. Again, breaking up with the perfect, right? You don't have to be perfect. You are just as worthy of compassion as someone else, right? So our agenda for this afternoon, we have a little compassion warm-up activity to get you kind of in that compassion frame of mind. Then we're going to look at your This Is Me page on page 21 of your journal. Then we're going to do the self-compassion postcard on page 17, and then we'll close out. All right. And I know I saw in the chat there were some folks who were new. This is their first social. So if you have any questions, please feel free to pop those in the chat. My fabulous stage manager, Karen, is here, and she does have her camera on, so she can always wave at you. She is happy to help answer any questions if you've got any weird technical difficulties. If you can't remember what page it is, if you can't remember what the instructions are. No, Karen, your camera is on. I see you. Don't you just love technology? Yes, we totally see you, Karen. So don't make any, don't do that. Don't do that. All right. So our warm-up activity for this afternoon is going to be hitting the reset button, right? And I love this activity, just kind of thinking about, do you ever get to the point sometimes where you're like, I just want to reset things? So what I want you to do is to write down, you can find a blank notes page in your journal or a blank piece of paper or the back of an envelope, right? My mom loves writing on the back of envelopes. Write down 3 things that happen that let you know it's time to reset your mind and your body, right? And then next to each one of those things, write down 1 action step that you can take when these things come up so that you can reset, okay? So I will show you my scribbly. Don't laugh at my horrible handwriting. It's just never got any better since 4th grade. This, if you look at my 4th grade work and you look at this, pretty similar. So things that let me know when I need to reset. I start to snap at everyone, right? I catch myself snapping at my husband, snapping at a coworker, snapping at someone in the store. And I think, okay, you know what? I maybe need to reset. So the first thing I often do is ask myself, am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Am I tired? Right? And those 3 questions actually work for pretty much anything when things are going wrong. And often I find, oh, I haven't had any water for about 4 hours. Maybe I'm thirsty, especially here in Colorado where it's super, super dry. Other things I can do, actions I can take for that. I can take a walk outside, maybe give myself 5 minutes alone. And I'll be honest, sometimes it's in the bathroom stall, right? Because sometimes that's the only time you can get away from people. So find some place where you can just be alone and breathe, or maybe listen to music, right? Second one I have is I cry for no reason, right? And that's a huge, huge cue to me that something is going on and I need to reset. So again, I ask, am I tired? Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Try and take a deep breath. And the other thing that I try to do when this happens is really sit with my feelings and try to figure out what's going on. Because I think a lot of us, and I think women especially, we are so much the caretakers and we feel like we have to be strong and we feel like we have to help everyone else and we aren't so good at helping ourselves. So sometimes just really think about what's going on. Why am I upset? What is upsetting me? Great time to grab a blank page in your journal and kind of write that down. And my third one, physical symptoms, right? So headache, and I get vertigo fairly frequently, which is really obnoxious. But again, I ask those thirsty, maybe I need some more exercise, maybe I need some time alone. And I definitely notice it when I have not had enough sleep, right? So yeah, vertigo is the worst. So again, trying to think about things that help you reset. So write in your journal, I'm gonna pop off the camera and play a few songs, spend some time, write. You can share in the chat as much or as little as you would like. If this activity doesn't resonate with you, work on your color page, work on your weekly setup, do you. But this is a nice little activity, and especially having those actions there, you can kind of look and see things that you can do to help you feel better. So take a few minutes, fill that out, and then I'll pop back on. All right. So hopefully you had some time to list some things. I saw lots of great ideas in the chat. Folks that were talking about they have a crafting room and they'll go in there and do super fun, different crafting things, painting, and I do a lot of knitting, which kind of helps me reset unless it's a complicated project and then just makes things worse. So I do have to be careful about which project I pick to help me reset. Definitely, someone had talked about at the hospital, there's kind of like a reset room, like a rest room, and not a restroom, but a room where you can go rest. And then I thought that was a great idea. Someplace that's quiet. Marie said sometimes she gets really overstimulated, and I totally hear that. Sometimes when I'm out in public a lot, or like in a store or something, there's just lights and there's music and there's noise and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes just finding a nice quiet place, lights down low, or try to find natural lighting is always very helpful. And we have, I actually also work for a school district, and we have a lot of our schools have that recharge area or a room where kids can go. They can just excuse themselves from class and go, and it's got like beanbag chairs and fuzzy blankets, and it's got kind of like the low lighting and those kinds of things. So trying to help our kids learn how to reset. So definitely very, very important. So thank you all for sharing that, and hopefully that was a little helpful. You can look back at this page to help you remember some of those activities that you thought of. So now we're going to move on to the This Is Me activity. And this is on page 21 of your journal. These are really fun to do. They include these in the journal every so often with different kinds of prompts. And it's just kind of a fun place for you to kind of talk about yourself and just kind of write things down. I actually had the idea, I'm going to make a copy of this and then give it to my husband and have him fill out a page and have me fill out the page, and then see if we can guess each other's This Is Me answers, kind of like the newlywed game. Right. I don't know if you remember those, but it's interesting to see how well do you know me after 20 years? And of course, then I'm like, oh, but that also means that I have to know him as well. So use this section for however you would like. You can free write in those boxes. You can draw little pictures. You can put in little stickers. Just kind of close your eyes and reflect on each one of those questions and really have fun with it, right? This is a place for you to have fun. Just kind of answering these questions. And then if you save your journals, you can always come back to it later next year or maybe in 6 months and see if your answers changed or see if anything is different. So again, these are my little scribbly things to write in here. So I have my favorite animal is a llama. I have 4 tattoos, and I certainly hope my husband knows how many. It'd be very interesting. I hope he knows how many tattoos I have. Who's been difficult to forgive? This is a tough one for some people. For me, there was a cousin who was really mean to my mom at one point, so I have a really hard time with him. I know a lot of people in previous socials have said themselves, they've had a hard time forgiving themselves, so that's something interesting to know. Favorite movie is Labyrinth. I don't think my personality has changed since childhood. I'm still goofy and loud and kind of out there. If I could go on a trip, I would go to Budapest. Do I prefer to be inside or outside? I think this really, to me, depends on the place and the season, right? So I don't really necessarily want to be outside when it's super, super cold, but I do like to go outside in the snow. So if I could get better at one thing, it would be time management. I am horrible at time management. Time just really slips away from me a lot of times. I think I'm a good friend because I can make people laugh. And my support system, I have 3 really, really good friends, Andrea, Mary, and Sheila, and we get together as often as we can, and they are a fabulous support system. What makes me laugh? I am a total sucker for dad jokes and puns. The goofier and cheesier, the better. And which show could I binge watch again? Probably Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's a nice thing with all these streaming services now. You don't have to go find the DVDs. You can just stream those whenever. So take a few minutes. I'm going to pop on another song. You can share any of these answers that you want or not. Just kind of chill again, and we'll play some music, and then we'll continue on. And you know I had to play this song. All right, we are back. Hopefully you were able to fill in all your boxes. If not, remember you have plenty of time. The other thing I forgot to say is if there's one in here you're not really fond of, a little prompt, you can always come up with your own prompt, right? Come up with something that's interesting for you to write down. So I saw lots of really good info in the chat, definitely. Folks who struggle with toxic family members, right? And that is definitely, that's tough. And I think you're right, Renee, that sometimes people will say like, oh, if it's family, you're supposed to put up with it and you're supposed to deal with it. And I would say no. I think sometimes when people get to a certain point, you do have to cut them out of your life, and that can be really hard. And people can, maybe not be super supportive of that, but you have to realize that you have to do what's best for you. So again, in that idea of self-compassion, what can you do, that will help you and help you feel better. Saw some fun, Willy Wonka. Somebody liked the original movie, the old one, which I love too. Some of my sisters hate it. They think it's creepy and scary. But I always liked it. And I always enjoyed the book. And Karen, I have not seen the play, so I have to, our musical, I'll have to kind of check out when we get to start having more of those things coming back. So hopefully that was kind of fun. And like I said, it's fun. You could do it with a friend too, right? You could be like, what do you think I put down for, has my personality changed since childhood? Obviously it would have to be somebody who knew you in childhood, but anyway, there you go. Something kind of fun little activity to do. So let's move on to our self-compassion postcard. So this is on page 17, and this one can be a little tough for folks, right? Again, like I said, we have a hard time showing ourselves self-compassion, giving ourselves grace, kind of helping us feel better. We're very good at helping other people sometimes, but not so much us. So spend just a few minutes thinking about maybe someplace where you carry guilt, or you're ashamed maybe of something that you've been doing. Something that makes you feel bad about yourself, which, and this isn't a fun activity, but I think it's important. And sometimes it's good to kind of sit with those feelings. So maybe it's making mistakes or arguing with a loved one, carrying guilt and shame. Now, after you kind of get that idea in your head, think about if it was someone else. Think about if it was a friend, your significant other. How would you support them, right? And then kind of turn that back on yourself and imagine an unconditionally loving and compassionate friend who can see all your strengths and have them write a letter to you. So one of the things I did, I suggested to some folks, because this postcard was kind of tough for them to do. When I think of unconditional love, I think of my cats, right? Or really any pet, because, right, my cats, I can be mad at them. I can push them out of my lap. I can ignore them and they walk around crying, but then they're always there, unconditionally loving, always wanting to pop back up in my lap no matter what, right? So if you're having a hard time writing this from your own perspective, think about writing it from your pet's perspective. You could have your cat write you a sweet, loving love letter. You could have your dog write you a loving love letter. Karen has her little doggie. Maybe your little doggie will write you a letter, Karen. Because they do. I mean, I definitely think pets are one of the best things to have, because they really do love you unconditionally. And don't get me wrong. Sometimes my cats get me mad when I don't give them treats. They get mad at me when I don't have treats for them, but they always forgive me. So, and then also think about what would it feel like to let go of that guilt and shame. Okay. And then you can also draw that color or that feeling or a picture, or again, you could put a sticker in where the little stamp is. So I'll show you mine. And again, my scribbly writing. I used some different colors because I thought that might be kind of fun. So I wrote to myself, remember, you are not stuck. Everything is temporary. This too shall pass, and you will come out stronger for having lived through it. So it's time for a deep breath, a cup of tea, and maybe a nap. Then regroup and conquer the day. Remember too that you are worthy of kindness and tenderness. You will find peace by doing what you need to do, which is changing the way you respond to stress and conflict. Now go gently into that moment. And then I addressed it to my happy place and put a little sticker and kind of a little blue because it's kind of a little melancholy feeling. So if you need to, take a deep breath now, right? And just write yourself a letter. It could be, some people they'll write a letter of compassion to their younger self. You can have it be a letter of compassion from a friend, whatever makes sense for you. And again, if this activity doesn't resonate with you, hop onto the coloring page, pop into the Plan Your Week, listen to the tunes, and then we will be back. on. All right. So lots of good thinking in the chat, lots of good, talking about forgiving yourself for everything you've done in the past, because you really can't change your past, right? I mean, I think that's something we all struggle with. Oh, if only I would have done this. Oh, if only I did this. I should have said this. I should have done this. And there was one really good book that I read. I don't know if you've read The Midnight Library. I can't remember the name of the author, but it's all about that, right? Like what would happen if you actually could find out, like, what if I would have went to college right out of high school instead of went into the workforce? Or what if I would have married this guy and not this guy, or those kinds of things. And so there's a person who gets to kind of see the what ifs, and it really gives you a lot of things to think about, right? And so I think a lot of us tend to ruminate on these things. And I think, what if when you said, what if I would have gone to college? Like for me, I didn't start college until I was 23. And what if I would have gone to college straight out of high school? Well, so I'm like, okay, I probably would have partied a lot. I might not have made it. I might not have gotten through college. And who knows what could have happened. And really all I know is what I did was when I started college when I was 23, right? So I think helping yourself maybe sometimes write your own scenarios for what you did would be good. And yeah, I think some people put the links in the name of the book, The Midnight Library. I listened to it on audiobook because I love listening to audiobooks when I'm driving to work. And the nice thing is you can get those for free from the library. You can check out audiobooks for free, and there's an app you can get, Overdrive or Libby. I love getting books to do the audiobook because it's so fun. And yes, it does count as reading. It does count as reading a book. I know some people might argue, but I believe it counts as reading a book. So, lots of good things. I definitely saw some folks talking about the mom guilt, right? I do not have human children myself. I have my little fur babies. But I know I have lots of friends who are moms. I have sisters who are moms, and they constantly think they're doing it wrong, right? They constantly think they're ruining their children. Everything is horrible. And I think y'all beat yourself up a little bit too much, right? Give yourself some grace, because I'm going to bet nobody actually got a manual that said, here's how to be a mom and here's how to take care of your kids, right? There's just this weird thing of, here, go be a mom, and now you have a child. And I think it's definitely one of the hardest things to do, which is why I decided I was going to opt out of that. But kudos to you. And I have 11 nieces and nephews. I love doing fun things with them and then giving them back, right? And Karen, that's a great point. Even if there was a manual, each kid is different. So each kid would have to come with their own manual, right? Can you imagine? Maybe that's an idea. You could have them pop out with their own, here's the manual for this child. And maybe it could be an audiobook so the mom could listen to it. Right. I think we've hit on something here. Maybe that's what we need. But yeah, so some great ideas. A lot of talk about wanting to forgive yourselves. And again, kind of just that self-compassion piece. Did anybody write a letter from their pet? We had some fun people last time, some fun letters from pets last time. That there was one that was really funny. The person had written it from the dog, and then at the bottom of the postcard it said, P.S. thank you for cleaning the poo off my bottom. I was like, yep, that is something totally little doggy would say. So let me just kind of pop over here. So that's what we have for tonight. We have the 2 QR codes for our app. Hopefully everyone has the app, the Sonder Club app. There's lots of good stuff in there. You can feel free to post pictures of your postcard or your This Is Me section. Ask questions in there. It's a great place to get ideas from other people. And since we finished up a little bit early, Karen and I thought we could maybe open it up to see if anybody had any questions or anything you wanted to ask. It could be about the activities we did today, or it could be about anything in the journal or anything in the app. Anything that you want to tell us, because I will say, and I'll go to the next slide as well, here's a QR code to take the survey. Our team is very, very dedicated to making sure that Sonder Club is really for you. right? It is helpful for you. It has the things that you want. We've started doing these socials as a result of feedback that we got from members. So the more feedback that you can give us, like, oh, I really wish, we had somebody say one time, gosh, I wish you would do a coloring page, right? We could just do a social and we could just sit in color and listen to music, and the facilitator could maybe chat or, you know, whatever, because it helps them set aside time to do it. So how many of you, you know, when you're working on your journal, you just don't have time? And so signing up for one of these socials is a great way to set up time. So Gloria, I'm sorry that the app is not available for Mexico. That's a bummer, but be sure and put that in the survey, right? Because I don't know the ins and outs of apps and those kinds of things, but that's definitely something that they could look at. We do, you know, hey, we have somebody in Mexico who would love to be able to hop on the app, right? Let's see, I was gonna look at another question. Marie was asking, what do we do with the future calendars at the front? Oh, what does everybody do with those future calendars at the front of the journal, right? So if you look, this is a good question. So, right, so there's always like the, you know, the main page. Oh, my thing is kind of blurry. There's that main page on page 5, and then there's, are you talking about those little, we've got like the little future journals on page 6 and 7. I use those on page 6 and 7 to put future birthdays in, because it helps me sometimes know if I need to get a present or buy something ahead of time to kind of see what I have. But I'll be honest, I don't always fill that out. Does anybody else maybe have some good ideas? Brenda was asking, she's working through the original rituals because she read to do them first, but will the compassion rituals that are coming out daily this month still be there after November? I'm not 100% sure. Karen, do you know if they will still be available? I'm not sure. So again, that's a great question to pop into that survey. And you can also send an email to hello@silkandsonder.com to ask them if those will still be available. And Amber, I'm glad to hear that the socials help. Karen writes up, she updates vacations and events in those little future calendars. Adele is asking, has there been any discussion about forming smaller special interest groups within Sonder Club? I love to connect with other retired empty nesters. That is a great idea. Please put that in your survey. I'm not sure if there has been discussion about that. I know we've talked about being able to message other Sonder Club members, but I'm not sure about maybe having special interest groups that people could potentially pop into. So put that in there. And Val, I love that you tape the pages together, those the advanced calendars, the future calendars, so you don't have to do anything with them. Excellent, excellent. If you're like, if I'm not going to use these, just going to tape them together. I know some people let their kids use them as coloring pages, right? So the kids can feel included. Christina wants to know, what do you do with past journals that are not filled out? So you have some blank journals. I'd say you could save them till next year, but then the dates won't be right. If you save them for, is it every 7 years that the dates will reset? Because you know, on the calendar, it will. I think it's like 7 years. You'd have to look. But eventually it does roll around so that those days fall on those dates again. So you could always put it away for 7 years, which is totally something my grandmother would do to save for that. Let's see. Michelle puts in the future calendar upcoming work holidays, things that she has scheduled. So she stopped using a separate calendar. Great idea. For past journals, Alyssa, he's planning to cut out the unused journal pages and creating a new one to keep working on. So you could potentially take some of those unused pages and put them into a new, put them in your new journal. Yeah, members in your area wanting to meet those. I know there's some people in some areas that have kind of set up some different chat groups kinds of things. So you could always post something in the main chat to see if you could get a group together. Sienna, be sure you put the wanting a positive chronic illness wonder club in your survey, so they would see that. I know we do have a lot of folks who have some different chronic illnesses, and that would be a great place for them to share and chat. Let's see. All right, I think, Karen, did I miss any questions on there? We good? You could also, one thing that folks often ask is what markers do you use? Because some of them bleed through really badly. And so I was going to type, I found a marker. I'll type the name of it because I'm honestly not even sure how you say it. So this is the brand of marker that I got. I want to say I got it on Amazon. They have lots of different colors and they do not bleed through, but they're very nice colors because I had some other markers that I would do the coloring page and then it looked horrible on the other side, or I would write in my weekly setup and they would look horrible. So awesome, Michelle, you use, yeah, they're really good. Yeah, Dollar Tree. I probably paid more. I probably should have looked for them at Dollar Tree. Oh, good question, Courtney. If you paused your subscription for the journal for 1 month, will you lose access to the Sonder Club for that 1 month? I want to say, if you're in there, I feel like you might be in there. Okay, I'm not sure how often they go through and cull, but again, that would be a great question to pop that into your survey to ask, or just again, the hello@silkandsonder.com, send them an email and ask to see what happens. Any other questions? And again, if you think of anything that you would love to see, we do have coming up, I was looking at, let's see, what are the socials that we have coming up? We have a self-care snowman coming up on December 6th and on December 20th. We have monthly indulgences and your perfect date that are coming up. We certainly have coloring events. And then I think Karen is going to host a cooking. It'll be our first cooking social, the parsnip and potato pancakes recipe that will be in the December journal. So be sure, if you love to cook and you've always wondered about trying one of those recipes, make sure that you pop on there. We're not sure if people are going to cook along with Karen or if it's just going to be everybody watching Karen. We don't know. And actually, I will be the stage manager for that. So we'll both be there in flipped roles so that we can see. So someone asked about how do I see the upcoming socials? So in your app, and I'm opening mine so I can try and tell you the correct way to go. If you go into the Sonder Club, right, where everybody posts, and there's always at the top, there's the question of the day. Up at the very top, there's like a little calendar page. And if you click on that, it takes you to the Eventbrite page. And you can see all the events through, let's see, they've got them, looks like up through December 18th. And so always check in there. I think they usually try to update those with a couple weeks worth at a time. So keep an eye out for that. And if it's full, please join the wait list. We do try to let folks into the wait list as often as possible. So I would definitely like that as well. Michelle was asking, there used to be Sonder Socials and Sonder Circles. Is it just Sonder Socials now? And the answer is yes. Right now we are just doing the Sonder Socials, which are these larger group type events where you can type into the chat or you could turn on your camera. We also have some that are more webinar format, so there's no camera. So if that's something that you really miss and you really want, the Sonder Circles were more of an intimate group of people, about 12 people, potentially a few more, and then we would be there. And again, we would facilitate walking through some journal prompts, but there wasn't like the PowerPoint. We didn't play the music. It was just more kind of walking through that. So if you are interested, I know we've had some folks say they kind of want maybe some smaller groups because the chat can be hard to keep up with sometimes. Again, put that in your survey so that they can see that. And I think Karen threw in the link for the Silk and Sonder events at Eventbrite. Let's see if there was anything else. Robbie said she went and signed up for everything. I know, I was like, ooh, I'm telling him to make sure and go in there and look, and everybody's gonna hop on and get those. And I mean, that's just kind of, sometimes I will set a reminder or something to go in every couple of weeks and be like, look and see if there's anything new. They'll also usually talk about the socials in the Compass, which is a newsletter that comes out. Is it every month, Karen, or is it more frequently than? Yeah, I feel like it's every month. It might be a little more frequently. One thing to keep in mind is if you're not, you should be getting Silk and Sonder emails on a fairly regular basis. Usually there's something that comes out at least once a week. Maybe it's something that kind of talks about our stickers or the new candle or something. So if you're not getting any of those, be sure you pop into your spam filters because spam loves to gobble those up. If you've got Gmail, check in the promotions tab because a lot of those will hide over there. And if you're like me, you never look over there. And then you can drag it over into the main inbox so that they'll start coming into your inbox so that that is in there. All right. Well, I think we're good. I think we've got, oh, and then Robbie uses the notes section to list all the socials she signed up for. Excellent plan. Yes, don't forget to add those to your calendar because we don't want you to miss. That would be bad. Thank you again so much for joining Karen and I as we go through. Please, again, post pictures in the app, and I hope that we will see you again soon.
In every addiction, or fantasies taking over, awake me. I've been looking for the conqueror, but you don't seem to come my way. I've been looking for the only one, but you don't seem to come my way. Broken me and broken them, and you are broken too. Open ears, their eyes are open, makes me call for you. But there's no seduction, only destruction.